Sheldon, yesterday at practice there was obviously some new faces, and it looks like those guys are going to come in Glass and Sprong. Is that correct?
It is, yeah, for sure.
So how does sort of bolstering that bottom six in a way maybe help a little bit that top six?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. How it all comes together. We hope we have another line that can drive play, and obviously we'd like to see them score and produce on offense. But more importantly, if they can drive play. If you have another line drive and play, it just makes everybody else's life a little bit easier. The game is left in a little bit better place when we get in line change situations and such. So, if we can get that with the Lazar, Bastion, and Tatar line, to me, that line when we've had them together over the last couple of months have been consistent in terms of driving play and getting on the forecheck and spending time in the offensive zone. So that's why I like the look of that line and what they provide us. Having a little more infusion of skill, Glass and Sprong, hopefully can drive more play. And Sprong certainly is a finisher, and if he gets a chance, we like his ability to be able to score. And then all of that stuff, I think, can take a little bit of heat off of the other guys and allow our game to be a little more in sync.
And I guess what I'm gauging from what you're saying is also what you talked about post game is that shift after shift, creating that momentum, right?
Yeah, that's really important. I believe that's how a lot of goals are scored, and certainly how momentum is generated and how you can manage a game. We right now have to play the ultimate team game, and we need to have connection shift over shift, line over line. So in some cases, when we look at our lineup here today, it's about having that continuity. And as I mentioned, the Lazar line is really important for me. Those guys have really done a nice job for us for quite some time. So I feel comfortable and confident with that line, and then you want to get the new guys involved, and all of a sudden you look at it and you've got Cotter and Dowling that can provide some good things for us too. But they're on the outside here today because we like the look of this group and want to give it an opportunity.
How much can this time of year you're looking for ways to get extra juice out of your players? Having three new guys, 2 forwards, 1 D. I'm assuming Chalowski is going to play. How much can that motivate the rest of the group? Just you're looking for a spark just to get a little bit of extra energy anytime you can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even just our practice yesterday, dropping those guys in, and not to mention the guys that we bring in. These are highly motivated people. Glass wants to take advantage of a new opportunity. Sprong and Chalowski, those guys had been in the American Hockey League and want to show that they belong in the NHL and have lots to prove in that sense. So it was nice to have them practice yesterday, and it's just added depth. As I mentioned, we got guys like Cotter and Dowling on the outside here today. I think a little more accountability. We need everybody's best here, and then we have the numbers now with expanded rosters and our extra cap space we have with our key guys on long-term injury reserve. So we can use more people now, and the standard is high, and need everybody's best every game, and every shift really is very important for us the rest of the way. So to have that is important.
Toward that goal of 4 lines rolling and creating the momentum, how does moving Jesper apart from Nico, how does that help that effort?
Yeah, same idea. Just to be able to spread it out a little bit more. I didn't like that line with Nico and Timo the other day. Obviously, Brad's played a ton with Palat, who I think in the last couple of games has been outstanding for us. And getting him back with Brader, maybe we can get a second line there. Mercer's done a nice job down the middle. So I think on paper and in theory, it all looks good. So, I'm anxious to get it rolling on the ice.
What have you liked about Dawson in that spot? You've used him a little bit, but now it's almost out of necessity, right?
Yeah, it certainly is, and obviously maybe a little bit less so now with Glass coming in, but we just looked at it and decided to give it a little more runway and see if we can get some traction there. The ability of having Heischer with Mercer and Glass. 1, 2, 3, I think can give us some nice depth that way, and keep a little bit more of that skill on the third line. So, we'll see how it goes. Mercer's really embraced it and done a nice job here, and I think recognizes what the team needs from him right now, and I've liked how he's responded.
One of the things you mentioned Pally there, and I sort of think back to his years in Tampa, particularly that year where they didn't have Steven Stamkos for that playoff run, right? Like, how valuable is what he brings off the ice right now, particularly when you sort of match up no Jack, they didn't have Stamkos, but they still reached their ultimate goal.
That's a great point. Not one that was on top of my mind, but that's. I mean, there's endless examples of teams that play without key players and find a way. You know, whether it's Jack or Dougie and Siegs on defense. You know, two really important pieces for us there. There's opportunity for others to step up, but more importantly for just the team and the team concept and our structure and all of that to just prop everybody up. But when you have players that have been through it and have reached, you know, the ultimate prize of winning, despite those circumstances, such as what Pally brings and all of that, it's great to have that perspective that he can offer the group without question.
And then lastly, you know, you talked about needing to be at your full potential. What is missing right now from Paul Cotter's game that put him on the outside looking in?
I just, you know, kind of what we've talked about here a lot, which is really important for me as we're trying to search for goals and such. It's, you know, Kotz has the ability to be a finisher. He gets one scoring chance, he can score for us, but there's just a lot of other areas of his game that are really lacking right now that are really allowing us to have sustained pressure and keep our game and keep going. You know, we need better from him, and he's going to be an important guy for us down the stretch. Just a little bit of a reset, for him. And we met yesterday, and just trying to get him really clear on what he needs to bring for us because he is an important guy. And we'd like to have him rolling, but reality is each line that I've had him on here of late has gotten a little bit worse. So it's been hard to find a real home for him right now. And with two new guys coming in and wanting to keep that Lazar line intact for the reasons that I mentioned, he's the odd man out right now.
Sheldon, if I may, just one more from me. Yeah. With just a limited amount of games left, team played okay on the road trip, enough to maybe get a few more points. Didn't happen. And then the loss the other night. What's the nature of this game? More important 2 points, or does this team need to have the positive impact to kind of get it going, that spark?
Yeah, we chatted yesterday. We're past the trade deadline here now. I mean, this is our group. You know, the injured guys that are out, they're not coming back. And there's nobody else coming here save for some of the support we have in Utica if we desire to utilize it. This is the group, and each game is going to be very important. And our mindset needs to change a little bit in terms of the urgency of the situation and recognizing that every point in every game matters. So as we approach Game 65 here now. It's got to feel a little bit different than the previous 64 here, and we got to have a little bit different mentality in terms of recognizing that. Well, the playoffs necessarily haven't quite begun. Certainly, the playoff stretch has got to be at the forefront of our mind right now.
Thank you, Sheldon.
No, Jake Allen.